Coming up on this week's edition of Speed Chronicles, it's the month of May.
SIG Media presents Speed Chronicles with Todd Lewis, powered by Rev TV.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this week's edition of Speed Chronicles. We're here every Wednesday. Check us out on your favorite podcast platform and, of course, on the Rev TV YouTube channel as well. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Share it around on the socials. We appreciate it. Yes, month of May. That means Indianapolis, Indy 500. Everyone's getting excited. It's creeping up soon. Couple of things about Indy to come. We'll talk a little NASCAR, Formula One, and the rest of it as well. I want to start, though, by saying Alex Zanardi. The smile, the donuts, the winning, the incredible human spirit, resilience. These are some of the things you think about when you hear the name Alex Zanardi, and some of the things I thought about when we got word last weekend that he had passed away. It was stunning news over the weekend and really shocked everyone. For those that are unaware, Zanardi was the reason that you see drivers do donuts in all disciplines. That was his celebration. He started that, and it has become a staple ever since. And it is something he did a lot of during his kart years. I only had a few interactions with Alex. I didn't really begin covering motorsports full time until a few years later, but I do remember a couple of conversations with him. There was a time after a race that had finished under caution. He was the runner-up. He wound up finishing second, and we happened to be walking towards the media center at the same time. And I just looked over at him and I said, "So did you have anything for him?" And he looked at me, he said, "No." Very simple. And that was the great kind of honest answer that you got from Zanardi anytime you did an interview with him. When he returned to North America after his second dalliance in Formula One, he was running with Monun's team, and it wasn't going great. He was struggling early on in the season. But in talking with him, it was just, there was still that optimism that, you know what, things are going to work out. Things are going to be okay. I remember watching that horrible race where the front of his car was sheared off and he so nearly lost his life. The smiling and admiring of him as he came back to the track after an incredible recovery, Olympic gold in the Paralympics, continuing his life, seeking new challenges and inspiring others. Seeking new challenges was kind of the key too. Rest in peace, Alessandro Zanardi. Okay, on to things that took place this past weekend. If not for the change in start time of the Miami Formula One event due to some weather concerns, we would have had the NASCAR Cup Series, Formula One, and the IMSA race at Laguna Seca all occupying basically the same late afternoon television window on Sunday. I don't know why that is. I'm not sure why that was scheduled this way. It worked out that Formula One went early, so that's good. I guess you're trying for the best possible audience, but you're going up against other series. West Coast and Laguna Seca, I get that it's a 4:00 Eastern window, but I don't know. Everybody would have had the DVR jumping back and forth. I don't know. It was perplexing to me. Also, really tough to get the news that DXDT Racing and Robbie Wickens, Mason Philippi weren't able to race because of a transporter fire on their way to Laguna Seca. Unfortunate. Glad everyone was okay. They will be back at it. Quickly, some Formula One thoughts on Miami. In 5 years since this event started, it is continuing to rocket upwards in terms of presentation, big league appearance, and it is going to continue to grow in that direction. It is showing no signs of becoming stale or slowing down. It is a big event, hugely profitable. That's why the deal is renewed. Remember, through 2041. Yes, Miami is a big deal. It is a big event. The racing was decent too. The changes and updates to the regulations, I believe, helped the overall product. While every driver, I think, in the field said, "Oh, it's a good start, but we need more." Well, is there a race car driver who has never said, I don't need more performance. I don't want more. Unless your car is handling perfectly and you're 100% faster than every competitor, they all want more. This was definitely an improvement. This is definitely a step in the right direction. We had a lot less whining about stuff too, which was great. How about Kimi Antonelli? 3 in a row now. Oh, is he going to be popular in Montreal in a couple of weeks? Not ready to anoint him the world champion just yet. As we saw last year, young driver Oscar Piastri looked like he might be headed towards a title mid-season. Then it was teammate Lando Norris, who had a little more experience, a little more maturity, who had something to say about that in the second half of the season. Let's see how much the McLarens continue to improve, how both drivers continue to improve. George Russell, I think, is also likely to be heard from before this season ends. And I hope Max Verstappen continues to improve as well. Reading about the post-race penalties that were imposed in Miami, apparently they couldn't get a good enough look at Max Verstappen crossing over the pit lane exit line during the race, so they had to wait till after to impose the penalty. All right. And for Charles Leclerc, who had contact and limped his car home across the finish line, yes, he did go off track and go outside the track limits in that process. He was penalized post-race for going off track. Isn't that sort of something that looked after itself by him dropping back further in the field already? The stewards really seem to be trying to justify their existence with both of these. NASCAR is headed to Watkins Glen this weekend. It's, as I said, the month of May. If this seems early to you, you're right. It does to me. Except for one prior September race in 2024 and 2 races in July in the 1960s, Watkins Glen races in August. You know, when the weather's suitable and much more conducive to being outside when you're in New York State. Now, it could be beautiful this weekend, could be all right, but you know what? It might be kind of chilly and miserable and not so nice for camping and outdoor activity. Right now, the temps I checked look to be somewhere in the mid-50s. There is a chance of rain. I imagine that the track cannot be thrilled with this date, but in a way probably had to say yes because NASCAR had other things to deal with. And it's sort of if you don't like it, well, we could always skip a year or 2 or 3. Weekends where NASCAR could have and should have been at the Glen in August, they will be in Iowa for a mid-afternoon start in August in Iowa, and they will also be doing a Saturday night race in Richmond. I think this is a poor decision. Catherine Legge scheduled to be back in NASCAR racing this weekend. She'll be in the 78 car in the Cup Series. Same question as last year. Is this a position where she can succeed? Maybe. It's a road course. That helps. They have actual practice. That helps. So hopefully it all ties in with her running a car in the Indy 500, which was announced officially as well. So they get to 33 at the 500. So it's not with the biggest team. It's not with the best team. We'll see how she does. Did the latest NASCAR lawsuit ever get interesting last week? The one with Spire Motorsports, principals, talking to Jeff Gluck about the JGR lawsuit, the accusations of wrongdoing. This story has just gotten way more interesting with each passing week. I cannot wait to see what happens next. I cannot wait to see if it actually ever gets to court because it could be pretty exciting. Here's the part that sticks with me, though. I understand that if you, as an employee, leave a company, you want to take some things with you. Contacts that you've made, their information, that sort of thing. Maybe a good flow chart that you put together about how some systems work, some notes about how things might benefit you at your next endeavor. What does get you in trouble, though, is when you take proprietary information or knowledge gained while in the employ of the company you are leaving. Chris Gabehart admitted to taking information that wasn't his to take. There's records, there's text messages, there's computer logs. He did it. He admitted it. Okay. Now, understanding that you want to win and you want to hire good people if you're another racing entity, whenever they become available, you take a look at them. But what makes Spire feel that Gabehart wouldn't do the same thing to them at some point in the future. And how do you reconcile hiring him to take on a senior role when his character of taking proprietary information from a previous employer is admitted behavior? That's the other part. All three NASCAR series, as mentioned, are at the Watkins Glen. Let's mention the Canadian talent that's on display. Alex Zanardi, Clabé are going to run in the O'Reilly series. That's good. IndyCar back in action for the month of May. Activities get going this weekend with the road course event. A couple of items for IndyCar of note. Alex Palou has signed a new long-term contract with Ganassi Racing. That's either good news or bad news, depending on your perspective, but it's good news for the series if Alex Palou is in long-term. Also, the push-to-pass rule has been changed after the little mix-up, mess-up, whatever you want to call it, at Long Beach. If you recall, it was supposed to be disabled for a restart. It wasn't. Bunch of drivers used it. Now, didn't really change the outcome in any way, shape, or form, so no harm, no foul, not a big deal. But IndyCar has decided that, you know what? Let's rewrite the rule. Let's do it differently. Other than the initial start of the race, push-to-pass is now going to be available. I'm fine with that. Give the racers all the tools they can to go race hard, try to gain positions. It's one less rule to police, works for everybody as far as I'm concerned. So lots of activity this weekend, Mother's Day weekend as a matter of fact. Maybe mom likes racing, who knows. Enjoy the weekend of racing. Happy Mother's Day a couple of days in advance, and we'll do this again next Wednesday.